What's up, everybody? This is Pain User.
And this is Cat's Pajamas.
And we are bringing you another round of 8 game. This is between dignitasmerz and RGIFury. It's a Terran versus Terran on Xel'Naga Caverns. Fury, our orange Terran, in the top position, and Merz, our blue Terran, in the bottom position. This is the beginning of the series, and we have our Swedish powerhouse from Team dignitasmerz in the bottom position, and Fury, a little bit less known of a Warcraft 3 player who is actually on 4K. I remember watching his games back in the day when I thought that I was an aspiring Warcraft 3 player. But look at me now, talking about him from the lofty casting chair.
Oh, yes. We are gods sitting in our small dungeon here at
It's
IPL2.
so easy for us to make observations and be critical.
But I'm totally gonna out ourselves right now. I'm selling us out. We didn't know Merz was Swedish, but then we immediately commented on, think how freaking good the Swedish scene is right now. You have some ridiculously awesome players that are coming out of there at the moment. Naniwa, Thorzing, Genro, Merz. It just goes on and on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man, and that has always been the case throughout my history with esports. The Swedes are phenomenal at every game. They have a gamer culture. And Thorzing put it very well in an interview. Somebody was like, why are the Swedes so damn good? And he was like, everyone has home PC. And we have good internet.
Oh, yes.
Those two things will foster good gamers no matter where you are.
And good internet they do have, and I was totally envious. I remember looking at places across the world to live, and when you're talking about 100 symmetrical, and all the big areas, that's fine. 100 symmetrical, I'm so envious of that. But Merz here, our blue Terran, he is going ahead with a pretty predictable opening. Looks like refineries have 3, so we're not going to do any sort of a Braddock weird double Rex opening style or anything like that. Both these players are going to play a little bit more standard. We'll see what they end up going into. If we're going to see some sort of a tech lab here in a second. Looks like Fury, though, going ahead and dropping down his second supply depot. No add-on coming down yet for Merz either, so looks like we're going to head right into factories.
And Merz pulling SCVs off of gas already, stopping at... I don't know, he has one continuing to mine, stopping at 80, so probably looking to get that command center down extra early.
Yeah.
If we go and check out our opponent, he is already getting that factory down, and Fury is going to look to get some Hellions out relatively early here. Still no second gas, and I actually don't really mind the fact that he stopped mining gas. It looks like we're going to see a reactor expand out of him. Relatively safe build. You get that double marine production early on, and that'll keep you safe from any kind of early pressure.
Yeah, absolutely, and the command center is just started at the moment, so Merz is going to be able to establish a nice economy. The question is how much can he do to hold off any sort of harassment or push here out of Fury? Fury does have his second gas coming up, and factory is just about to finish, going right into a starport immediately afterwards. He does have the Hellion coming up. We'll see if any sort of a tech lab develops later for Blue Flame, if he's going to be content with the relatively low-tech Hellions whenever he does make some sort of a push. So Fury just establishing that starport. Merz, on the other hand, looks like his fast expand was scanned, so his opponent does know what he's up to, but he is also following with a factory because he was still, even if he was mining gas slowly, was still mining gas through that whole process.
One thing to note about Fury is that he is actually, he has added that second gas. And he is getting a tech lab on the factory, so probably going to get either a very quick Banshee here or a siege tank. I'm thinking it's going to be a Banshee. Let's see if he lifts off that factory real quick. No, it's going to be a siege tank, so we are going to see a very quick siege rush here from Fury. Probably going to get a medevac, use that to spot the high ground. He is going to have a good amount of Marines here, and this can do a ton of damage, especially on a map like this. If he's able to get into position outside of Merz's base, either below the ramp or up here, and then slowly work his way into the main and start camping the production, that would just be absolutely terrible for Merz. I've had this happen to me before. It's so frustrating. Merz actually building several Hellions here, and if he continues to produce Hellions off of this reactored factory and continues to produce Marines, I think he'll be okay. But one thing he needs to make sure he does is catch Fury's units as he's moving across the map. He needs to pounce on him before he gets to his front door.
Yeah, and it looks like Fury is actually producing a Viking in addition. He's actually going to start the game with a Viking. I've seen a few players do this, but I always question this because at the very beginning of the game, especially because he knows his opponent isn't going to have any sort of starport tech or anything like that, makes it kind of an odd decision, but Fury's going to move out here for the time being. The Hellions for Mares are going to retreat, and I do like this. I mean, this push is very reminiscent of, a lot of what TLO did during the beta and things like that, which was, you run all of your units up and you go ahead and you catch up with your starport unit as it's making its way across the map. Mare's now retreating with all of his forces. Oh, if he engages in open ground at bad position here, this would be devastating for him, as Siege is done at the moment. And is he going to swing around? He is. Wait, she actually catches this Siege tank unsieged for a little while. The second one's not sieging up either. The Viking goes down right away. Then these Siege tanks are going to fall. One Siege tank goes down. The second going to fall right after that. And Mare's completely stops that attack.
This is absolutely horrible for Fury right now. He just lost both those siege tanks. Like you were saying earlier, the Viking doing absolutely nothing right there. And our blue Terran, actually, Merz grabbed his medevac early on, and that helped so much in that fight, healing those Marines throughout the fight, enabling him to just kill all of the Marines from Fury and then take out both of those siege tanks. Fury in a very tight spot right now, not going to be able to expand for quite some time. Merz expansion up and running. Let's take a look at that real quick. His orbital is done. He already has it mostly saturated. He is in such a good position right now. Let's take a look at the income tab and see what we have here.
Yeah, for these two players, it looks like there is a definite advantage right now for Mares. I mean, quite a bit. We're talking about 30%, and he has multiple mules down, and he's producing 2 SCVs at a time. And, well, frankly, Fury still hasn't even finished constructing his. Oh, a little bit of a Hellion drop now into the main, and a lot of SCVs actually did go down. He's going to continue to do damage here. This is devastating. Each one of these SCVs just represents a huge amount of economy for Fury that he cannot reproduce, especially just off of that one base. Taking a look at the units tab, he is down 21 SCVs to 40. We're not even 10 minutes into the game now. So right now, Mares definitely has this game well in hand. He has the luxury of being able to sit back and play a nice, safe game.
And he is just compounding his lead more and more every minute this game goes by. That Hellion drop was so impressive. Didn't commit at the front. Obviously, there was a siege tank there. There's defensive posturing, so he did not want to commit. And we do have Blue Flame coming up now from Mares. He is going to... Oh, and he does have 2 factories going right now, continuing to produce those siege tanks and those Hellions, going with a pretty heavy mech style right now. And it's going to come down to this one push here. He really needs to make sure that he holds this push. This is the last ditch for Fury. Fury just trying to get something done here, trying to get up into the natural, and there are no tanks yet and no siege mode yet from Merz. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold this without siege.
This is pretty close. This is actually going to get closer than I thought. Wow, one of the siege tanks almost dead immediately. Looks like Merz is going to have to come out and hold that for a little while. The Vikings do land themselves. The siege mode is still only halfway done now for Merz, and Fury is going to move up. He is going to try and take out this orbital command. This is going to do quite a bit of damage. The SCVs now looks like they're not deterred at the moment. Finally going to be pulled out. They are going to move in, try and do whatever damage they can, catching up to those siege tanks, causing the siege tanks to fire upon themselves. It looks like Fury, though, he loses 3 out of his 4 tanks. Is he going to lose the 4th? Yes, he is. And Fury does lose the rest of his forces, and he is down to only 15 supply. Oh, because Hellions were dropping him at the same time, forces him to GG.
And there are no SCVs left in that main. Sorry we missed that one, guys, but there's nothing left to see. All the SCVs are gone, and that will most certainly seal the deal. Merz taking game 1. Very impressive play. Back and forth game. High action. Very aggressive build from Fury, but Merz just absolutely shutting it down, taking control of the game from there, and then just compounding his lead by so much with that Hellion drop, really forcing Fury into a position where he had to attack, had to make something happen, and he was being very patient, waiting for siege, eventually just pulled his SCVs, just squash the push.
Exactly. And with the build that Fury was going for at the beginning of the game, you can't draw even with your opponent. If you draw even with your opponent, if both the armies wipe each other out, then the 2 base of Mares is just going to absolutely obliterate you as you move on. So really forced Fury's hand as time went along. He did a good job of, trying to get back in that. That push was very strong towards the end of the game. Took everything Mares had to hold that. But, drops in the back with those Blue Flame Hellions, seals it up for him. And we are going to head into game number 2, guys. Don't forget, this is round of 8 action. Thus, this is only a best of 3 because we are only determining positioning. Both these players have already qualified for the IPL, but we will have that second game for you here in just a second.